Hey everybody, I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen, and welcome to another edition of A Wolf's Word. Now today on A Wolf's Word, I'm going to be talking about a game that brings together a large collaboration of characters from the Sony universe. A game which is a fighting game, but also a type of party game, which is in the same vein as Smash Brothers. I'm of course talking about PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Now I know what you're about to say. Wait a minute, Wolfkeen. You said you would never review fighting games. I kind of have a special excuse for this game because let's face it, Smash Brothers and PlayStation All Stars are pretty much the same game, and I've played a lot of Smash Brothers, played them all up to the Wii. So I think I have enough say that I can review this. Now I'm not gonna let my love for Smash Brothers cloud my judgment for PlayStation All Stars, but I will use some aspects of Smash and PlayStation All Stars. But I'm not gonna compare them side by side. Maybe I'll do that for another video. I'm just gonna use some of the differences to help show why this game is better in some cases or worse in some cases. So now let's get into the important parts. We all know in most fighting games, there's not really a story mode. Don't quote me on that. I know there are some fighting games with a story mode, but this one doesn't exactly have a story mode. Instead, it has an arcade mode. So let's go into the modes that it has. The game has an arcade mode, which allows you to either play like a sort of story, which is kind of like, you choose a character, and you have character intros and outros. So you have that. That's number one. You have the versus mode, which allows you to play against your friends or computer AI. And then you have the tournament mode, which allows you to go online and play ranked matches or quick matches of different types. So there's not a lot of game modes compared. Oh yeah, and there's the challenge mode. And of course there's a tutorial and practice mode. See, now this is pretty good. The tutorial actually works very well. Let me talk about the tutorial for a bit. The thing about me in fighting games is that every fighting game needs to have a very good tutorial so you can actually learn how the game works and how to handle each of the characters, which is good in tutorial. The tutorial will teach you the basics of character handle. Wow. Will teach you the basics of handling a character and will also show you some of the basic moves and stuff like that. When you start getting the hang of the game, then you could try more advanced stuff. But it'll teach you the basics, and the tutorial works very well for itself, teaching you the different kinds of attacks you can use, the supers, and of course the item usage, which is good. So the tutorial definitely works. Now let's get into the arcade mode. The arcade mode works like this. It's almost like Marvel vs. Capcom styles. You choose a character and you get like a character intro. So just to bring an example off the top of my head, Sly Cooper. Say I picked Sly Cooper. Apparently, pages of the Thievius Raccoonus were stolen, and Sly Cooper is fighting, well, of course, the Sony characters to find who took the pages of the Thievius Raccoonus. You see, during the story mode, you fight different characters within the time. First, you do like one-on-one battles. Then you do 3 battle. Then you do a 4 battle. And each of them are time limit. Later on, you'll do like, who can get to this score first, like who can get 3 kills first for about 2 more matches. And then you'll finally do the rival battle. So I think there's, let me try to count them all. There's just you versus one other opponent, 2 extra opponents, the full party, the full party, which is 4 characters. I think you do that like twice or 3 times. Then you have the 2 stock matches. Well, who can get to the score first? You have the rival battle, and then you have the final fight. Now, the rival battle basically pits you against the character who is going to be most likely your rival to that character. So, for Sly Cooper, his rival is none other than Nathan Drake. And I have to admit, most of the rivals that they pick for each character actually work very well. Like Sly Cooper's rival is Nathan Drake, and vice versa. Nathan Drake's rival is Sly. The next one a good example again is Cole McGrath. His rival is Raiden from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and vice versa. So they do pick some good rival battles, and the rival battles are actually pretty challenging. Now the arcade mode has 3 different difficulties, and Legend, and I think All Star is the highest. I don't know. I think it's All Star that's the highest. it's a pretty hard difficulty to play through. I mean, I'm not going to say that, competitive people in this game aren't going to have not going to have a hard, they're going to have the easiest time because they're competitive, but new guys to the game will have a hard time against the all-star difficulty. Unless you came from Smash. So the arcade mode is not really that great, but it isn't that bad. It's actually a solid mode. So if you get bored and don't want to play online, but you do want to play against some bots, definitely put on the arcade mode, or just play versus. Then you have versus mode, which is quite admittedly just the pick characters you want to fight. You can also go up against your friends. The cool thing about this game is you could play 4-player on or offline. So you can get together 4 people and play this game on the same TV like in Smash Bros. Or you can go online and play against your friends. So I do like that aspect about the online, that it works. How many characters are there? I really keep forgetting because there's a lot of characters. So I'm gonna look in the I'm going to look right here. Like, you can probably see them. Okay, I would never do this to a game, but I'm going to take this out. There's your roster. All these characters are in the game. So, counting them all off, I'll count them all off. We have Big Daddy, Sly Cooper, Sir Daniel, Toro, Nariko, Cole, Spike, Dante, Sackboy, Radic, Kratos, Nathan Drake, Parappa, Raiden, Evil Cole, Ratchet, Heihachi, Jack, Fat Princess, and Sweet Tooth. So that's about, wow, I can't even believe I didn't count. $20 characters. So, the roster is actually pretty solid for what we get. A 20-character roster. I mean, yeah, I know Smash Bros. Has a larger roster, but for the first ever of this kind of for the first ever for Sony, I mean, think about it. Look at the first Smash Bros. We only had like 10 characters when it first came out. Super Smash Bros. On the 64. This one being the first of its kind, we have 20 characters. So it's a decent roster. Not as big as some of the other fighting games out there, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which has a whopping, I think, 50 characters or something like that. But the roster is actually pretty solid, and I can give it that. The last thing I need to talk about is the online mode, which, I'm going to be honest with the online mode, the way that they do it is that you could play ranked matches or you could play unranked matches. The ranked matches allow you to upgrade your rank in the online. You could play by yourself ranked matches against 3 other opponents, or you could play with a friend online and go to team battle ranked matches. Sorry about that. Nah, but you can go online to team battle ranked matches. So there are 2 kinds of ranked matches. In the quick play option, you go up against opponents either playing a time game, a stock game, a kills game, or whatever else. So you could play ranked matches if you want, or you could play unranked matches. So, to be honest though, I kind of wish there was a bit more. I wish there was a bit more in the verses. Maybe ranked stock matches instead of all the ranked matches being timed for 3 minutes. But that's just me being a little picky. So, I've talked about the game modes. I've talked about the game modes at least a little bit. Now let's talk about some of the other stuff. What about the characters? Well, here's how PlayStation All-Stars work. You use 3 buttons to attack. Square, triangle, and circle. Basically, using these buttons in conjunction, you could do different kinds of combos and stuff like that. But most of them have different uses than others. So certain characters will have like more dominant triangle attacks than the other character, but that character may have more dominant square attacks. It's up to you to figure out. Great, there goes a car alarm. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. That car alarm was going off for too long. I had to wait a little bit. Now, let me get back into what I was talking about. Each character plays differently. No one character plays the same. So it's up to you to figure out the styles of each character. I think the character I'm most used to right now is Nathan Drake. But we're not talking about my experience. Well, we actually are, but we're not talking about how to handle each character. Like, I'm not that kind of person that can tell you the technicals about every character. I just want to review this game so I can tell you about each aspect of the game. So each character handles very well, but some are a bit cheaper than others. I'm going to be honest about that. Some of the characters are a little cheap, like Kratos. Kratos, the reason why I say Kratos is cheap is because his side square attack is always a grab. Basically, he throws the blades of chaos, catches you, and then immediately goes into a shoulder ram. And there's barely any way to dodge that. You either roll out of the way or you just block, because that attack will grab you, send your character flying across the map, and it's very cheap. Another cheap character is Radic, which he could just stay in the back of the area just shooting his gun all the damn match, which most people playing Radic do. I know people are going to probably say that's how you play Radic, but there are better ways to play Radic than just staying in the back of the map, using your sniper, and just shooting everybody. And nobody goes after the person who plays Radic. That's the stupidest thing. People online never go after the guy who plays Radic. They're always going for the kills instead of going after the guy who might actually win. Now, there is something else. There is a bit of customization. In PlayStation All-Stars, the more you use a character, the more you rank them up. So you do level up these characters. When you level up characters, you're able to obtain alternate costumes, extra taunts, maybe some companions. Like, you'll have like a companion right here that will be with you when you first enter the game, or it'll show up when you get a triple kill. You get different music, you get different backgrounds for your title card, as well as emblems. So that's what I mean. Like, playing each character will not only net you experience, like, how to learn how to use the character, but will also unlock a couple of things for the character. So it's not all just, oh, I learned how to use this character, I unlock a couple of things for him. Nathan Drake, I at least have him at like 120, so I have most of everything unlocked for Nathan Drake. And this is why I'm so good with him. But, that's not the point. I do like the customization idea, but I wish there was a bit more. I wish there was a bit more ideas for customization, but maybe that's just me being picky. Now, I've talked about some of the big aspects. Now, let me talk about the combat of the game. Like I said, you use square, triangle, and circle to attack. X is your jump. Now, how do you kill opponents? It's not like Smash Brothers, where you just knock an opponent to the other end of the map or until they fall or into the sky. You have to use a super move. Basically, when you attack your opponent, you build up a meter that's called your super. You get level 1, level 2, or level 3 supers. So you have to build it up as best as you can. The way to get a kill is that you have to hit someone with your super. But I have to be brutally honest, some of the characters' supers are not very good. They're not very good. Like, most of their supers aren't up to par to some of the other supers. Like, Nathan Drake's level 1 super, he throws a propane canister and you can shoot it at any time. But if I was going up against a guy who's playing Sly Cooper, his super is just Murray doing a forward punch and falling over straight forward. So if I'm in front of Sly Cooper when he uses his super, I'm done. In order for me to use my super as Nathan Drake, I have to step back a bit, get away from the combat, use the propane, and hope for the best. I mean, there is a bit of strategy to be involved in PlayStation All-Stars. I will openly admit that. People say that PlayStation All-Stars is a Smash Bros. Clone. While true, I think there's more skill to be needed in this game than there needs to be in Smash Bros. Because in Smash Bros, a beginner could get extremely lucky with one of their moves. Like, a beginner could get lucky and get the incredible hammer where they just go crazy with it, or catch this crazy attack with Samus, like, shoot the power beam at your opponent and knock them out of the map. Like, those kind of moves, I would say those are luck-based in many ways, but in PlayStation All-Stars, in order for you to get that kill, you have to use your super. So it takes a lot more skill. You have to decide when to use the super, you have to decide what level to build it up to, and you need to decide when's the best time to go for it, because if you do the super at the right time, you can actually eliminate a whole game. You can actually eliminate the whole team. Like, eliminate all 3 characters out of the game, and you'll get a triple kill. Now, the scoring system in PlayStation All-Stars is a little different. You get 2 points for every kill and lose a point for every death. I understand what they were trying to do with this to prevent, like, oh, there's a tie or anything like that. I would know what they were trying to do with this. It works to some extent. I will be brutally honest. It does work to some extent. Now, what are my problems with PlayStation All-Stars? Because I have been talking about positives, but what are my problems? Well, the game feels a bit bare bones. I mean, Smash Brothers, yeah, it has an arcade mode similar to this, but Smash Brothers actually had a story. If you had Smash Brothers Melee, you would know about the All-Star. You would know about the, like, when you played enough Melee, you unlock the All-Star mode. You unlock the Adventure mode. You unlock Classic mode. In the multiplayer, you had different kinds of multiplayer. You had the normal multiplayer where you had time matches, coin matches, stock matches. You had the special melee where every enemy would be big, every enemy would be small, everything slowed down, everything speeded up, sudden death, like stuff like that. See, like, Smash Bros. Had more variety in their game modes than PlayStation All-Stars. PlayStation All-Stars feels a bit bare bones at times, and I wish there was a bit more game modes to tide me over for some of the gameplay. Like, I wish there was like a, what's the word? I wish there was like a certain other game mode, like maybe like an overtime game mode. Like, you know how overtime you get like 3 times the AP. I wish there was like a game mode like that where it was always overtime. Same thing like Smash Brothers, sudden death melee. So I do wish there was more game modes in PlayStation All Stars. Another negative I have with PlayStation All Stars is that its internet sucks. The connection to this game is very hit and miss. Like, you may get into a game maybe a few minutes later and then you'll lose connection to the host. I mean, the problem with this game is that they pick a host. They pick a player to be the host, and if that player leaves, the game gets canceled because you lost connection to host. So if someone was to leave, not only do you possibly lose your rank in the ranked matches, but you pretty much lose that match and you would have to search for a new one. Searching for matches ain't that hard. It's actually pretty easy to find matches, but the fact that your opponent can leave and end the game is kind of bullcrap. And I have to be brutally honest, when you have a low connection while playing this game online, you're going to have a lot of delay. I think there's a lot of delay with this game compared to other fighting games. And maybe this is just me, but I wish there was a larger roster. Like, a couple of people have been asking, where's Alex Mercer from, I forgot what game he's from. What was that? Prototype. I think it was Prototype, yeah. But everyone's asking for Alex Mercer. Some people have asked, who the hell are half these characters? And some people have even said, oh, all these characters are cross-platform. Now, let me explain. Yes, all these characters are cross-platform, but their origins are from Sony. I mean, think about it. Heihachi, Sony. Cole McGrath, Sony. Dante, Sony. Jack, Sony. Parappa, Sony. All these characters are from Sony. But the thing is that Nintendo had a larger roster of characters that were both from Nintendo. Because think about it, we don't see Fire Emblem on PS3 and Xbox. We don't see half these characters like Olimar. We don't see Olimar in PlayStation or Xbox. We don't see what's another good example? Star Wolf. We don't see him in PlayStation or Xbox. We don't see Star Fox at PlayStation, Xbox. That's what I mean. Nintendo has a larger roster with their Smash Brothers series because most of their characters are Nintendo only. Yes, most of these characters are cross-platform, but their origins are Sony, but that's what makes it tough. They need to pick characters that are Sony only. And with 20 characters, I know there's probably more out there, and a lot of people are asking for more, so I do wish they had a larger roster. Now, to be brutally honest, there's nothing glaringly wrong about the game, but there's nothing shiningly right about the game. It's kind of like one of those games where, like, you know it's not a great game, but it's not a bad game. It's one of those games where you're just in the middle. Like, I'm not saying it's a 5 or anything like that. I'm not saying it's right there, a 5, a mediocre game. I'm saying that it's kind of like one of those games where you're not sure of. You're not sure if, like, is this a good game or is this a bad game? That's what you gotta think about. I don't think it's either of them. I still think it's a very solid game, and if you are a fan of Smash Brothers or any kind of like party fighting game, and that's another thing, this game is best to be played with friends. If you have 4 friends, this is probably one of the funnest experiences you will ever have, even online. But by yourself, it gets a little boring. So it suffers the same thing as Operation Raccoon City. But unlike Operation Raccoon City, Playing by yourself isn't that bad, and playing the ranked matches online is a lot of fun. So, what do I think about PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale? A hard game to talk about, to be honest. The fact that it doesn't have a lot of game modes and it only has like bare bones, and it doesn't have a great roster of characters. Granted, the fighting is actually pretty solid and the supers work pretty well if used correctly. I know a lot of people hate supers and say that it should have reverted to the Smash Brothers style, but I think it works better like this with the supers because you need more skill in order for you to win. It's not like you could get that lucky shot. You really have to be good at this game in order for you to win. And I've seen some high-level characters. Like, I've seen people use Dante at level 999, and they'd be comboing the living hell out of me. So, it's possible that you can actually get really good at this game, unlike Smash. Smash, yeah, you'll get good with characters, but you really can't help when someone gets lucky. In this game, it's not really luck-based. It's actually skill-based. So I can give PlayStation All-Stars a good note for that. I wish they had more game modes, and I do hope they put new characters. They have talked about having 2 DLC characters for free, and they're talking about adding new modes. So it looks like they're probably going to do exactly what I'm talking about. If they do exactly what I'm talking about, I could definitely recommend this game to anyone who is a big fan of Sony characters and likes fighting games. But as it stands, I can only recommend this game if you are a huge Sony fan and maybe play Smash Brothers and want to try this out. If you've played Smash Brothers and you know your Sony characters, this is a game for you. If you don't really know your Sony characters or have never even attempted a game of Smash, maybe you should look elsewhere and just play Smash Brothers on the Wii. Solid game. I wish it had a little bit more. I think I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10. Now, let me explain something. A 7 out of 10 still means a must-buy. It's low, yes, but that's the thing. It's not a great game, but it's not a bad game. It's an okay game. It's like right there. Like it's on the borderlines from being something great or bad. So if they add more to this game, it'll actually be a lot better. And if they had this stuff like at the start, instead of just releasing it as DLC, I probably could have bumped the score up to possibly an 8. But as it stands, I can only give the game a 7 because of the bare bones modes, the low character roster since there's only 20 characters, and the connectivity. If they fix their connectivity, I could definitely raise the score. So, a 7 out of 10 for PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. If you're a big fan of Sony characters and like Smash Brothers, I think this game is up your alley. If you don't know much about Sony and have never played a Smash Brothers, well, maybe this is a good place to start if you want to try a Smash Brothers style of game. But all in all, I would rather recommend playing Brawl. So until next time, I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen. Take care.